Hello, good morning. Thank you, everybody. What an amazing event. So this is my first time at Campaign Middle East, Marcomms event, and well done, it's been amazing. So today we're going to be talking through digital innovations and the future of the metaverse. So some really big topics that we've got to cover, and I guess if we just kind of sum it up in one thing, it is what are the new things that we need to be thinking about for 2023? What are the new things that we need to implement, and practically, how do we implement them? I will say that I come from a digital background, but I'm also somebody who, like Austin, and actually I've forgotten them over there, I have my notes on paper, so I'm not somebody that is techie or codey. You know, I'm very much is thinking about how are we actually using these technologies and how can we make the most out of them. So there I am. If you want to see me twice, there we go. So what we want you to get out of today? So I guess number one is we want to give you top tips to succeed in Web 3.0. We want to give you insight into the future of digital, and we also want to give you practical applications of the metaverse. So we'll talk through this in a second. It's something, the future of digital, it's always being talked about, but practically, what can we as brands do? So I guess the first place to start is to say that the metaverse is everywhere right now. So if you look on the news, if you look on Campaign also, probably, if you look on any industry activity, the metaverse is being talked about everywhere. And that's from a global perspective, so LG, Samsung, Huawei, getting their metaverse patents. I'm obviously from the UK, so the metaverse being one of the top 3 contenders for the word of the year, which is a really big thing in the UK. Unfortunately, it was pipped to the post by a word called goblin mode. So goblin mode is not going to be our plan for 2023. The metaverse is instead. And also in the UAE, obviously, we here are leaders in change, we're leaders in innovation, and we're ensuring that we are at the heart of it and that we are pushing forward with that agenda. But for us to be able to push forward with that agenda, we need to make sure that we do it properly as well. And then I guess just to say is we are seeing that substantial growth. So if you look at the searches on Google worldwide for the metaverse, you can see that since 2021, we have seen, or probably 2020, we have seen significant growth. It's come at us hard, it's come at us very fast, and now we need to make sure that we are prepared for the metaverse. There is, however, one little problem, and I'm sure that many of you have experienced this when you're speaking to your stakeholders, to your clients as well, is that not many people really seem to know what the metaverse actually is. So we did a big survey recently. We surveyed, just a month ago, residents across the UAE. And what we found was there's a real mixed bag in terms of what people actually thought the metaverse was. So to be fair to them, these guys over here, which hopefully you can see is a little bit pixelated, have got their 3D glasses on. These guys got it right. So they said 25% of residents in the UAE said that the metaverse was the internet, but in 3D. So we do have a base of people, and to be fair, that's probably you guys in this room are the ones that know what the metaverse is. But we also got some very random answers. So 9% said they thought it was a digital code used by school kids for singing and songwriting. Really specific, really specific, and totally wrong. So there's a real mixed bag in terms of what people thought it was. 7% thought it was a theme park. And then we had a whole host of other reasons as well. So these guys in the gold jacket here, they thought it was a band. Other people thought it was a made-up phrase. Some people said that they'd heard of it but didn't know what it was. So those are probably the people that are being honest with themselves. So there's real confusion about what the metaverse actually is. But even still, even though we got all of these random responses and people thought it was a band or thought it was a theme park, still in that exact same survey, 71% of people said that they were excited to get involved and that they were going to be using the metaverse in 2023. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. So we really need to think, well, yeah, I'm happy to get involved in a theme park, to be fair. So So there's a real knowledge barrier, and I think where we're at right now, and I won't go into marketing theory too much because none of us need that on a morning, it's far too early for that, but we're at a point right now where we aren't quite at the majority. So we're at a point where we have our innovators, we have our early adopters, and that's probably, again, you guys in this room who are like really advocating for the metaverse, really excited. We've got, some of our techie friends that we know are like, yes, the metaverse, this is what we can do in the future. This is how we're going to use it. We need to make sure we're there. But we have this lag, and we're not quite at the point of full adoption. And that's because we have what is called the chasm in the bell curve. I can't remember the specific name for it. Told you it wasn't going to be marketing theory. So we've got the chasm where the vast majority of people don't actually know what it is, but also there isn't the knowledge there, and there's maybe not the trust there in what that technology is, and also the people that are trying to advocate for it as well. So probably the best example, and I'm sure this is the example we all use, is when I speak to my mum about the AI bots that actually Daniel showed us today. She was like, oh, but that's going to take people's jobs. That's really scary. This isn't a good thing. And that's the exact example of that chasm. And we really need to think about crossing that chasm and really instigating and creating knowledge about what exactly the metaverse is and how we can use it in the future. Now, one thing that I would say is whenever I speak to clients, and whenever I speak to colleagues like Maria, who's in the audience over there, whenever I speak to people, we always think about the future, and to be fair, today is about the future, so I won't negate it too much, but we always talk about, in the future, we're going to be doing this, soon we'll be able to do this on the metaverse, this is going to change the world. Actually, what I'd say is it's really important for us to be able to grow, we need to look backwards. So we need to kind of go back to our roots, go back to the very origins of the internet. Before then, we can think about how we move forwards. So first of all, let's go back to the very, very start of the internet. So the internet was born in 1990, year before I was born, so full-on digital native, even though I've had to go through some awful internet over my time. And I guess the best way to describe Web 1.0 is the read-only web. So everything you can do on print, but online. There was no interaction, there was no engagement. We could read, that was the only thing that we could do. And I think what's really interesting here is that you see some really big brand names who we all know and we love. So MTV set up the first landing page, obviously Google being launched. We all use Google every single day, we love it. But also there's a few maybe tales of companies that haven't done so well. So CERN set up the very first landing page. They're not talked about anymore. Yahoo did amazingly, then had a complete fall from grace. So it's really important for us, I think, that the key lesson that we need to learn on Web 1.0 is that, yes, being a first mover is really important. Yes, we get advantage by being a first mover. However, that's not the be-all and end-all. And we really need to think about how is it that our audiences are engaging with that technology. Before we dive straight in, because we all get excited, we're like, right, let's go to the metaverse. We need to think about how it is that we're using that technology. We then move to Web 1.5, and that's where we get much more collaboration. So we see the growth of blogs, we see comment sections. We all remember when a comment was an amazing thing to be added to the internet. And as you start to go through the origins of the internet, what we see is that humans become more involved. So the technological revolution is about involving humans. It's not about pushing them away. Obviously, here we have Facebook being launched, total game changer in terms of the way that we use the internet and social media, of course. Then when we get to Web 2.0, we are at the fully collaborative web. So rather than just being able to comment on a blog, we know how far that's got us, and we know the impact that has on all of our news now. We're also now able to create our own content. We can upload our own content. We are the content producers, and it's very much about us being that collaborative approach. And again, more acceleration, more human interaction, more human engagement as part of the web. Web 2.5, the mobile web. So we all remember that time in our careers, which we will probably tell our grandchildren about, and they'll be like, what, you are so old and boring, where desktop web was overtaken by mobile web. And I can kind of remember that in my career, is very much seeing the growth and growth and growth of mobile web and thinking, when is this going to overtake the activity that we have on desktop? And it did so in 2015. And with that growth in mobile, we also see new technologies, new adoption, and actually the integration of some really interactive technologies. So Pokemon Go in 2016, obviously a massive app, the Oculus software as well. So we're starting to now embed people and the world into the way that we use technology. And then 2020 happened. And we all know what happened in 2020, and I'm not going to talk about that too much. However, what that did and what 2020 did is it totally changed the way that we lived our lives. It forced technical revolutions and technical changes that maybe would have taken years. They literally had to happen in the space of days. So we really saw that change in technology. I'm sure for all of you in the audience, Zoom became our office. It became our socialization place. It became where we spoke to our families, so our family living rooms as well. And that was really not very well known before 2020. So we really changed the way in which we engage with the internet because we've kind of had to, and that's led to massive technical revolutions, but also that consumer change and that consumer behavior that allowed for Web 3.0 to exist. And Web 3.0 today, so everyone kind of says, what is the metaverse? Where is it? How do I even get there? And how do I engage with it? We're doing that already. So it's about taking 2D to real-time 3D. It's about going from just our PC and mobile and kind of having those as two siloed platforms that we use into multi-platform activity. It goes from engaging on an individual level, where we're sat at our desk or we're sat on our phone and we are head down. We've all seen it when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and they're on their phone, you're like, hello, are you even listening to me? It's making it much more collaborative and bringing people together and creating those connections. And it's also going from static to interactive as well. So from having, here is your tent, would you like to buy that? To actually be able to see and interact with all of the different options are there and decide what it is that is most beneficial to you. So the one thing that I would say is that those technologies, we've been using those for quite a long while as well. And actually the metaverse isn't a new thing. But what is a new phrase, and we've now got a kind of umbrella phrase to term all of those things that are happening, all of that interaction that is happening online into one key phrase. I had an amazing conversation with one of my clients who, name no names, but some people in the audience, you might know them. We did a digital innovations workshop, and we were talking about metaverse, and they're like, what even is it? Where is it? How am I even meant to get there? And I was like, guys, take a step back. Literally in 2017, we created a VR app where you could showcase your campus. You introduced it to clients. It was all in 3D. It's connected to the internet. They could then go through to your website, depending on what specific area they're interested in. People are doing the metaverse already. It's just that it's now that phrase that allows us to bring everything together. But the one thing that I think is really important is that the trajectory has now changed. So because of everything that's happened in 2020, because of how much we've taken our lives online, now the trajectory has changed. And what we're seeing is massive growth. And that massive growth is coming from big investment. So Meta, obviously, investing lots of money and also changing their whole brand to make sure that they were part of the metaverse as well. So it's not just money, it's also their whole identity and their whole being of one of the biggest companies across the whole world. That is really significant. Microsoft acquiring Activation Blizzard, and also Google investing in metaverse private equity funds as well. So with that big brand investment comes change and allows us to really showcase that trajectory and drive that trajectory forward. And we are seeing as well brands are on the metaverse. We're seeing that engagement. We're seeing that activation is happening already. So as a great example, Gucci has teamed up with Roblox to create Gucci Land. In Gucci Land, audiences in a metaverse land, people can go in there, they can compete in competitions to win GG gems, they can buy digital assets. they can integrate as part of the community and have conversations with their communities as well. So as an example of what this looks like, I won't show the whole thing. And you can imagine a world where retail, and that world is here and that world is now, where retail happens through the metaverse and where you can go online, you can not only pick clothes that are of interest to you, but actually try them on, where you can buy the activation as well, but also where you can engage with audiences. The metaverse is also in education, so education is my bag. I've done lots of student marketing campaigns. I love it. I love speaking to our young people and thinking about innovations there. The University of Tokyo have now launched metaverse courses, so they are doing an engineering course which is wholly hosted within the metaverse. I would say on this, in that both of these images here are being used on their website to promote their metaverse courses. I would go to this one over here. I'm not sure that this metaverse course is the place that I would like to be, and maybe they just need to adjust how they're showcasing their activity. But again, we can imagine a world where not only can we learn online, because we can do that already. You know, there's so much that we can learn through YouTube and through our courses online, but also we can experience education online, and anybody can do that from anywhere. We then also have brands that are advertising on the metaverse. So we're starting to take, and this is what will happen in 2023, and this is where we really see that acceleration, is we're taking the advertising that we can do in 2D, in real person, in real life, we're taking that online, and we're taking that through to the metaverse. So it's 3D advertising, but also being able to do it in a way that is really high impact. So for example, Calvin Klein here, using metaverse out-of-home ads as well. And there's a reason why brands are doing this, and they're not doing it for the fun of it, and they're not doing it just because they want to invest a bit of money, and it's quite cool and it's quite exciting, and they want to tell their friends. They're doing it because there is an estimated $800 billion that will be spent in the metaverse and metaverse-related products in the next 5 years. So there is significant revenues and opportunities for us, but it's really important that we do take that step back, that yes, we want to be the first movers, we want to have that first mover advantage, we want to make sure that we're in the metaverse, but also we need to make sure that we take a step back and we give ourselves a word of caution from the Web 1.0 audiences that we spoke to, and make sure that we're doing it in the right way. So for me, I think the most important thing is that the future of digital in 2023 absolutely is not just about internet connections, it's also about human connections. We're in a world where the demand for mental health services has increased 6 times over the past 3 years. We really need to think about our audiences, our consumers, and how we can integrate our activity with them, and think mindfully and also ethically as well about how audiences are engaging with us. So as part of our survey, and if you're interested, and there is a leaflet out there with all of the data in there, I would literally be here until 5 o'clock if I tried to take you through every single piece of data that we have, and I know that we don't have time for that. And what we found is when we did our survey and asked people what it was that they were looking for in the metaverse and why they wanted to use the metaverse in 2023, there was kind of 2 key areas that people said. So there was the practical side that people absolutely needed, and that's faster services, learning a new skill, reducing daily tasks, changing career as well. But also there's that escapism. So the second most the second biggest thing that people said as part of our survey is that they wanted to join the metaverse to live a different life. And they want escapism as well. So it's really important for you as brands to think about, where do you sit in that matrix? Are you going to the metaverse to support people, to make your service better, or are you going there to entertain and to provide that information? So the future of digital is here. The trajectory is changing, but connections are really critical. And the brands that succeed in 2023 are the ones that put people at the heart of it, and that is always number one for me, is yes, we love technology, yes, we love data, yes, we love innovation. We need to put people at the heart of it, connect up your data, and also create that interaction. we have been the Audience Collective. Thank you so much. We're out there, so as the guys had mentioned, we do have a raffle. Please make sure you enter it so you can get some food later. Thank you very much.